An ordinary girl crashes into a millionaire CEO before a crucial interview, certain she's doomed to be fired. But what unfolds is a whirlwind of romance, corporate conspiracies, and shocking betrayals in Portland's cutthroat pharma world. Will she lose her job or win his heart? Dive into a tale of secrets and surprises. The ending will leave you stunned. Before we start the story, leave a comment telling us where you're watching from. And at the end, don't forget to rate the story from 0 to 10. Enjoy the story. Picture this. A young woman, her heart racing like a drum roll, dashes through the gleaming corridors of a pharmaceutical lab, clutching a stack of papers for a career-defining interview. She's so caught up in her nerves that she doesn't see the man rounding the corner. Bam! She crashes right into the CEO himself, papers scattering across the polished floor like leaves in a Portland drizzle. Her stomach plummets. She's certain she's just blown her shot, her dreams of climbing the corporate ladder crushed under the weight of her own clumsiness. But instead of a stern reprimand, he flashes a warm, disarming smile, brushes off the incident, and here's the wild part. Months later, he's down on one knee, asking her to marry him. How does a single awkward collision spark a love story for the ages? What secrets lurk behind the sterile walls of Big Pharma, where ambition and betrayal mix like chemicals in a beaker? And who's pulling the strings in a world where trust is as fragile as a glass vial? Welcome to Portland, Oregon, where rain-soaked streets hide corporate conspiracies, family secrets, and a romance that defies all odds. Will Olivia uncover the truth before it buries her? Or will the shadows of the past rewrite her future? Stick around, you're about to be hooked. Portland, Oregon isn't your typical big city. It's got a soul all its own, a quirky blend of green dreams and gritty charm. Picture bike paths weaving through evergreen forests, coffee shops brewing organic roasts, and colorful murals splashed across brick walls in neighborhoods like Alberta. The air's always damp, carrying the scent of pine and rain, and locals pride themselves on their eco-conscious ethos. Farmers markets, craft breweries, bookstores tucked between food trucks dishing out vegan tacos and artisanal donuts. But beneath the laid-back vibe, Portland's a quiet powerhouse in the pharmaceutical industry. Home to companies like Pharma Labs, where brilliant minds chase breakthroughs in treatments for autoimmune diseases like lupus. At the heart of our story is Olivia Hayes, a 28-year-old biochemist with a sharp mind and a quiet fire in her soul. Fresh out of the University of Oregon, her degree still crisp in its frame, Olivia landed a job as a research assistant at Pharma Labs, a mid-sized firm working on drugs that could change lives. It's not glamorous. Think long hours in a sterile lab, pipetting samples and logging data under fluorescent lights that hum like a distant storm. The place smells faintly of antiseptic and stale coffee. But for Olivia, it's a foothold in a field that hits close to home. She's driven by more than ambition. It's personal, tied to a promise she made to herself long ago. Olivia lives in a cozy loft in Alberta, a vibrant neighborhood where artists and hipsters mingle, and food trucks serve everything from kimchi fries to lavender lemonade. Her roommate and best friend, Mia Lopez, is a freelance nutritionist who turns their tiny kitchen into a health food lab, blending smoothies that smell suspiciously like a freshly mowed lawn. Mia's the opposite of Olivia, bubbly, spontaneous, her curly hair always escaping its bun, her laugh a burst of sunshine in Portland's gray drizzle. "Morning, Liv," Mia called out one rainy Tuesday, her blender whirring as she tossed in kale and ginger. "Green juice before you save the world at the lab?" Olivia emerged from her room, adjusting her navy blouse, her hazel eyes catching the dim light filtering through their loft's big windows. "Pass, Mia. Coffee's my lifeline today. Got a mountain of data to crunch on that new lupus drug." Her voice was steady, but there was a tightness to it, the kind that comes from carrying big dreams on fragile shoulders. Mia slid a mug across the counter, steam curling up like a question mark. "You're gonna burn out, girl. When's the last time you did something fun? Like went on a date with someone who isn't a spreadsheet?" Olivia's lips quirked into a half smile, but her thoughts drifted. "Fun can wait. This job, it's everything right now." She didn't say the rest. Didn't need to. Mia knew the weight Olivia carried. Her dad, Robert Hayes, had been battling lupus for years, his flare-ups a constant shadow over their family. Her mom, Eleanor Hayes, a retired nurse, spent her days managing his care, her warmth a steady anchor for Olivia. The job at Pharma wasn't just a paycheck. It was a chance to help people like her dad, to make a dent in a disease that loomed large. At the lab, Olivia navigated a different kind of challenge. Pharma was a hive of ambition, buzzing with brilliant minds and sharp elbows. Her supervisor, Derek Voss, was a slick-talking manager with a knack for taking credit for others' work. his charm masking a ruthless streak. Then there was Lauren Pierce, a project manager who played the corporate game like a pro, schmoozing with higher-ups and always angling for the next promotion. And lurking in the background was Dr. Nathan Hale, a mysterious consultant brought in to oversee ethical compliance, his piercing gaze seeming to catch every detail. Olivia kept her head down, but she couldn't shake the feeling that something was off in the lab's polished halls. "Another late night, Hayes?" Derek asked one evening, leaning against her lab station, his tie loosened like he was trying too hard to seem casual. Olivia glanced up from her computer, her fingers pausing over the keyboard. "Just double-checking some data. The numbers on the new trial, they're not adding up." Derek's smile didn't quite reach his eyes. "Don't overthink it. We've got deadlines to meet. Focus on the big picture, all right?" She nodded, but his words gnawed at her. The data should add up. PharmaVita was on the verge of a major partnership with a Boston-based pharmaceutical giant, a deal that could fast-track their lupus drug to market. Any mistake could cost them, and Olivia wasn't about to let that happen. Not when her dad's tired face flashed in her mind, his hands trembling during his last flare-up. Back at the loft, Olivia sank into the couch, her laptop balanced on her knees. Mia plopped down beside her, holding 2 mugs of chamomile tea. "Okay, spill. You've got that I'm over-analyzing something face." Olivia sighed, running a hand through her dark hair. "It's the lab. Something's weird with the trial data, but Derek's acting like I'm imagining it. I don't know, Mia. Maybe I'm just paranoid." Mia raised an eyebrow, her voice teasing but gentle. "Paranoid? You? The woman who triple-checks her grocery list? Nah, if you're worried, there's something there. Dig deeper, Liv. You've got this." Olivia managed a small smile, but doubt lingered. Was she seeing problems where there were none? Or was there something bigger at play? Something that could shake PharmaVita to its core? As she stared out at the rain-streaked windows, the city lights blurred into a haze, mirroring the unease settling in her chest. Little did she know, the lab's sterile walls hid more than faulty data. Whispers of a conspiracy were brewing. One that would pull Olivia into a web of ambition, betrayal, and secrets tied to the very heart of PharmaVita. And soon, a chance encounter would set her on a collision course with destiny, and a man who would change everything. What was hiding in those altered numbers? And who was watching her every move? The rain never stops in Portland, does it? It's like the city's always whispering secrets, each droplet a clue waiting to be caught. For Olivia, that drizzle mirrored the unease bubbling inside her as she walked into PharmaVita Labs one foggy morning, her sneakers squeaking on the polished lobby floor. Just days ago, she'd been crunching numbers, dreaming of a promotion and dodging Mia's teasing about her non-existent love life. But now, something was shifting, something bigger than her daily grind. The lab's sterile halls felt charged, like the air before a storm. Was it just her imagination, or was there really something wrong with those trial numbers she'd noticed? And why did Derek's casual dismissal feel like a warning? As PharmaVita gears up for a game-changing partnership, Olivia stumbles onto a thread that could unravel everything. What's hiding in those altered data sets? Who's watching her every move? And how deep does this mystery go? The announcement came at 9 a.m. sharp, delivered in the lab's conference room, where the team gathered under harsh fluorescent lights. Olivia sat near the back, her notebook open, pen tapping nervously against the page. Derek stood at the front, his polished grin as slick as the glass walls around them, addressing the room with the confidence of a man who always had an angle. "Ladies and gentlemen, this is big," Derek said, his voice carrying that fake enthusiasm Olivia had learned to distrust. PharmaVita Labs is officially partnering with Apex Pharmaceuticals in Boston to fast-track our new lupus drug, Vitalupron, to market. This is our shot to put PharmaVita on the map. Deadlines are tight, so let's stay sharp. The room buzzed with murmurs, excitement from some, tension from others. Olivia's heart gave a little leap, not just for the company, but for what it meant. A lupus drug, something that could help people like her dad, whose hands trembled on bad days, whose smile faded when the pain hit. She jotted down notes, but her mind kept circling back to the data she'd seen last week. Numbers in the trial reports that didn't add up. Small discrepancies, sure, but enough to nag at her like a splinter. After the meeting, Olivia lingered at her lab station, her computer screen glowing with spreadsheets. She was supposed to be prepping for an internal interview for the senior analyst position, a chance to step up from pipetting samples to leading projects. But those numbers kept pulling her back. She opened the trial data again, scrolling through rows of results from Vitalupron's latest phase. The efficacy rates looked off, higher than expected, almost too perfect. She cross-checked them against the raw data from the lab's servers. There it was. Someone had tweaked the figures, smoothing out inconsistencies like they were erasing pencil marks. "Hey, Liv, you're gonna wear out that keyboard," came a voice, snapping her out of her focus. Lauren Pierce leaned against the lab bench, her tailored blazer and sleek ponytail screaming corporate ambition. Lauren was a project manager with a knack for charming the higher-ups, always one step ahead in the Pharma food chain. "Still chasing ghosts in those spreadsheets?" Olivia forced a smile, closing the file quickly. "Just double-checking some numbers. You know, making sure everything's clean for the partnership." Lauren's eyes lingered a beat too long, her smile sharp. "Good call. Apex is watching us closely. No room for mistakes." She paused, then added, "Or overthinking. Derek says you're up for the analyst spot. Don't get distracted, okay?" The words sounded friendly, but there was an edge to them, like a blade wrapped in silk. Olivia nodded, her pulse quickening. Was Lauren fishing, or was she just being her usual competitive self? Either way, Olivia couldn't shake the feeling that those altered numbers were more than a clerical error. That evening, back at the Alberta loft, Olivia slumped onto the couch, her laptop balanced on her knees. The rain pattered against the windows, a steady rhythm that matched her racing thoughts. Mia breezed in from the kitchen, 2 mugs of chamomile tea in hand, her curly hair bouncing as she plopped down beside Olivia. "Okay, spill," Mia said, handing her a mug. "You've got that I'm spiraling face again. What's up at the lab?" Olivia sighed, her fingers tracing the mug's warm edge. "It's the trial data for Vitalupron. I found discrepancies. Someone's messing with the numbers. I mentioned it to Derek, and he basically told me to drop it. But Mia, this is a lupus drug. It matters. I can't just let it go." Mia's eyes widened, her usual playfulness giving way to concern. "Messing with data? Like on purpose? That's shady. You think Derek's involved?" "I don't know," Olivia admitted, her voice low. "He's acting weird and Lauren's hovering like she knows something. Then there's this consultant, Dr. Nathan Hale, who's always lurking, watching everyone. It's creeping me out." Mia leaned forward, her nutritionist brain kicking into gear. "Okay, hold up. If someone's fudging data on a drug trial, that's a big deal. Like FDA-level trouble. You need to dig deeper, Liv. I can help. Let me look at the reports." "I'm no biochemist, but I know my way around medical jargon." Olivia hesitated. Involving Mia felt risky. Pharmavita's non-disclosure agreements were ironclad, and she was already on thin ice with Derek. But Mia's earnest expression, the way she leaned in like they were plotting a high school prank, broke through her doubts. "All right," Olivia said, pulling up a file on her laptop. "But we keep this quiet. If anyone finds out I'm poking around." "Your secret's safe with me," Mia said, mimicking a zipper across her lips. "Let's crack this mystery, Sherlock." They spent the next hour poring over the data, Mia scribbling notes on a legal pad, while Olivia explained the trial protocols. The discrepancies were subtle. Adjusted efficacy rates, smoothed out side effect reports. But they pointed to something deliberate. Someone was making Vitalupron look better than it was, and Olivia's gut told her it wasn't an accident. "Check this," Mia said, pointing to a column of numbers. "These side effect stats, they're too consistent. Real trials have messier data, right? It's like someone polished it up for a sales pitch." Olivia nodded, her unease growing. "Exactly. And the timing's suspicious. Right before this big partnership with Apex? It's too convenient." As they dug deeper, Olivia's thoughts kept drifting to Dr. Nathan Hale. The consultant had been at Pharmavita for only a month, brought in to ensure ethical compliance. But he was always watching, his sharp eyes catching every detail. Yesterday she'd caught him lingering near her lab station, his expression unreadable. Was he part of this, or was he sniffing out the same trail she was? The next day, Olivia arrived at the lab early, the Portland fog clinging to her coat as she swiped her ID at the entrance. The building was quiet, save for the hum of the HVAC system. She headed to her station, determined to cross-reference more data before Derek showed up. But as she logged in, she noticed something odd. Her access to the raw trial files was restricted. A pop-up read, "Contact System Administrator." Her heart sank. Had someone caught on to her digging? "Hey, Olivia," came a voice, startling her. Nathan stood in the doorway, his dark suit crisp against the lab's white walls. "Working early again? You're dedicated." She forced a neutral smile, her fingers hovering over the keyboard. "Just getting a head start. Lots to do with the partnership coming up." Nathan nodded, but his gaze lingered, like he was reading her thoughts. "Big week ahead. Keep your eyes open, all right? Things aren't always what they seem around here." His words hung in the air as he walked away, leaving Olivia with a chill that had nothing to do with the morning fog. What did he know? Was he warning her or testing her? As she stared at the locked files, one thing was clear. The mystery was bigger than she'd thought. and she was already in too deep to turn back. But what was waiting in those hidden files? And who was pulling the strings behind Pharmavita's polished facade? Portland's rain doesn't just fall, it weaves a spell, turning the city into a maze of secrets and possibilities. For Olivia, that maze was tightening, each step pulling her deeper into a mystery she hadn't asked for. She'd found tampered data at Pharmavita Labs, numbers that could derail a life-saving lupus drug, and her supervisor's dismissal only fanned her suspicions. But nothing could have prepared her for what was coming. A single, clumsy moment that would change everything. Picture her, heart pounding, rushing to an interview that could make or break her career, only to crash into the one person she least expected, the CEO himself. Papers flying, her dreams teetering on the edge of disaster, she braces for the worst. But instead of a firing, she gets a smile, a conversation, and the spark of something she never saw coming. How does an accidental collision ignite a romance? What's this enigmatic CEO hiding behind his charm? And how will Olivia balance a budding connection with the dangerous truth she's uncovering? The stakes are climbing, and the answers are just out of reach. Stick around to see where this moment leads. The week had been a whirlwind at Pharmavita Labs, with the Apex partnership announcement sending everyone into overdrive. Olivia barely slept, her nights spent poring over trial data with Mia, chasing the ghost of those altered numbers. The lupus drug, Vitalupron, was the company's golden ticket, but those discrepancies gnawed at her. She couldn't shake the image of her dad, Robert, wincing through another flare-up, his hope pinned on drugs like this one. She had to get it right, not just for her career, but for him. Today was the big day. Her interview for the senior analyst position. Olivia stood in front of her mirror in the Alberta loft, smoothing her navy blazer, her dark hair pulled into a neat bun. Mia lounged on the couch, sipping a smoothie that smelled suspiciously like celery. "You look like you're about to conquer the world, Liv," Mia said, grinning. "Nail this interview, and you'll be running that lab in no time." Olivia managed a nervous smile, her hazel eyes betraying her jitters. "Or I'll crash and burn. Derek's been weird about the data, and Lauren's circling like a shark. What if I mess this up?" Mia waved a hand dismissively. "You? Mess up? Please. You're Olivia freaking Hayes. Just don't trip over your own feet on the way in, okay?" Olivia laughed, but the warning stuck as she grabbed her folder of notes and headed out into the Portland drizzle. The Pharmavita building loomed downtown, its glass facade reflecting the gray sky like a mirror. Inside, the air buzzed with tension, lab techs scurrying, phones ringing, the weight of the Apex deal pressing down on everyone. Olivia was early, her interview set for 10 a.m. in the executive wing. She clutched her folder, rehearsing her answers as she navigated the sleek corridors, her sneakers silent on the polished floor. She rounded a corner, her mind on Vitalupron's efficacy rates when, bam! She collided with a solid figure, her folder flying from her hands, papers scattering like confetti. "Oh no, I'm so sorry," Olivia gasped, dropping to her knees to gather the mess. Her cheeks burned as she realized who she'd hit. Benjamin Ward, the CEO of Pharmavita Labs. He was unmistakable. Tall, mid-30s, with dark hair and a tailored suit that screamed power. His reputation preceded him, a visionary leader, widowed 2 years ago, carrying the weight of a company teetering on the edge of a financial crisis. Ben crouched beside her, his green eyes crinkling with unexpected warmth. "No harm done," he said, his voice calm as he handed her a stray page. "Looks like you're in a hurry. Big day?" Olivia's heart pounded, her mind screaming. "You just crashed into the CEO. You're done." Yes, sir. I have an interview for the analyst position. I'm so sorry I didn't see you." He chuckled, a low, easy sound that caught her off guard. "Call me Ben. And don't worry, I've survived worse than a paper avalanche." "What's your name?" "Olivia Hayes," she stammered, standing as she clutched the now disheveled folder. "I'm really sorry. I'll be more careful." Ben stood too, brushing off his suit jacket. "Olivia, relax. You're not getting fired over a bump. If anything, you've got my attention. Most people don't make an entrance like that." He flashed a grin, and for a moment, the weight of the lab's tension seemed to lift. She blinked, unsure if he was joking. Thank you? I mean, I hope I didn't ruin your day." "Not at all," Ben said, his gaze lingering. "You're interviewing for the analyst role, right? Tell you what, after you ace that, let's grab a coffee. I'd love to hear your thoughts on Vitalupron. I saw your name on some of the trial reports. Impressive work." Olivia's mouth went dry. The CEO wanted to talk to her? About her work? "That'd be great," she managed, her voice barely steady. "Thank you, Mr. Ben." He nodded, then stepped aside, gesturing toward the conference room. "Good luck, Olivia." "Knock 'em dead." She hurried off, her mind a whirlwind. Had that just happened? The CEO wasn't mad, he was nice. And that coffee invite? It felt like more than a professional courtesy, but she pushed the thought aside. She had an interview to survive, and those tampered numbers were still burning a hole in her brain. The interview went better than she'd hoped. The panel, Derek and 2 senior researchers, grilled her on trial protocols and data analysis. But Olivia held her own, her passion for the lupus drug shining through. Derek's smile was tight, though, his eyes flicking to her folder like he knew something she didn't. Back at her station, Olivia tried to focus, but Ben's face kept creeping into her thoughts. His easy grin, the way he'd said her name. She shook it off, opening her laptop to dig into the trial data again. The restricted access from yesterday was still in place, but she found a workaround, pulling up older backups. The discrepancies were clearer now. Someone had inflated Vidaluprin's efficacy rates, burying side effects that could derail the Apex deal. Liv, you okay? Mia's text popped up on her phone, pulling her back to reality. How'd the interview go? Olivia typed back, her fingers trembling. Nailed it, I think. But I crashed into the CEO. Literally. He was nice? Wants to talk over coffee. Mia's reply was instant. What? CEO guy? Spill everything. Olivia smiled, but her thoughts were elsewhere. That evening, she met Mia at a cozy Alberta cafe, the kind with mismatched chairs and the smell of roasted beans. Over lattes, she recounted the collision, keeping her voice low. He didn't fire me, Mia. He was charming. But those numbers, I'm sure someone's tampering with them. And Derek's acting cagey. Mia leaned forward, her eyes wide. Charming CEO and a conspiracy? Liv, you're living a thriller. What's next? You gonna snoop through Derek's office? Olivia laughed, but the idea stuck. Maybe. But I need to be careful. Nathan's watching everyone, and Lauren's up to something. I can feel it. As they left the cafe, the rain picking up, Olivia's phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. Careful what you dig into, Olivia. Some secrets are better left buried. Her blood ran cold. Who knew she was investigating? And what did Ben's coffee invite mean? Was it a lifeline or a trap? Portland's rain had a way of making everything feel heavier, like the city itself was holding its breath. For Olivia, that weight was crushing. She'd crashed into Ben, the CEO of Pharma Labs, and instead of a pink slip, she'd gotten a coffee invite and a spark of something she wasn't ready to name. But the thrill of that moment was fading fast, drowned out by a cryptic text warning her to stop digging into the tampered trial data she'd uncovered. Someone was watching her, and the stakes were climbing. The lupus drug, Vidalupron, was supposed to be a lifeline for people like her dad, but those fudged numbers pointed to a conspiracy that could ruin everything. Now, with a promotion on the line and a mystery unraveling, Olivia's caught in a web of ambition and deceit. Who sent that text? Is Ben's charm a distraction or something real? And when an old flame reappears, will his betrayal push her closer to the truth or straight into danger? The deeper she digs, the darker it gets. Stick around to see how far this conspiracy goes. Olivia's days at Pharma had become a tightrope walk. By day, she played the diligent research assistant, logging data and prepping for the Apex partnership. By night, she and Mia pored over stolen glimpses of trial reports, piecing together a puzzle that grew more unsettling by the hour. The discrepancies in Vidalupron's data weren't random. Someone was inflating efficacy rates and burying side effects, making the drug look like a miracle when it wasn't. Olivia's stomach churned at the thought. This wasn't just about her career. It was about patience, about trust, about her dad's tired eyes when he talked about hoping for a better day. She sat at her lab station, the hum of the fluorescent lights blending with the patter of rain outside. Her laptop screen glowed with a backup file she'd managed to access, despite the restricted servers. The numbers stared back at her. Side effect reports smoothed out, adverse reactions erased. It was deliberate, and it screamed cover-up. But who? Derek, with his slick smiles and evasive answers? Lauren, always one step ahead in the corporate game? Or someone higher up, pulling strings she couldn't see? Hey, Liv, you're burning the midnight oil again, Derek said, appearing at her station. His tie loosened like he was trying to play the cool boss. Everything okay with the trial data? Olivia's pulse quickened, but she kept her face neutral, just triple-checking. Apex is breathing down our necks, right? Can't afford any mistakes. Derek's smile didn't reach his eyes. Good instincts, but don't dig too deep. Focus on the big picture. Partnership's what matters. He lingered a moment too long before walking away, leaving Olivia with a chill that wasn't from the air conditioning. That evening, she met Mia at their usual Alberta cafe, a cozy spot with mismatched chairs and the scent of roasted coffee cutting through the damp air. Olivia slid into a booth, her phone heavy in her pocket with that anonymous text. Careful what you dig into, Olivia. She hadn't told Mia yet, didn't want to worry her, but the words were branded in her mind. Okay, talk, Mia said, setting down her latte. You look like you saw a ghost. Is it the data? Or that CEO coffee date you're dodging? Olivia forced a laugh, but it came out shaky. No date yet, just the numbers are worse than I thought. Someone's fudging Vitalupron's results, Mia. Efficacy rates are inflated, side effects hidden. If this gets out, the drug could hurt people. Mia's eyes widened, her playful vibe fading. Hurt people? Like your dad's kind of people? Liv, that's not just shady, it's dangerous. You have to tell someone. Like Ben, he's the CEO, right? He'd want to know. Olivia hesitated, stirring her coffee. Ben. His warm smile flashed in her mind, the way he'd brushed off their collision like it was nothing. That coffee invite was tomorrow, and she couldn't tell if it was a professional courtesy or something more. I don't know, Mia. Ben's complicated. And I got this weird text last night. Told me to stop digging. Mia nearly spilled her latte. A text? From who? No idea. Unknown number. Olivia slid her phone across the table, showing the message. I'm freaking out. What if it's Derek? Or Lauren? She's been hovering, acting like she knows something. Mia's brow furrowed. Okay, this is next level. We need to be smart about this. Keep digging, but cover your tracks. I'll help. Maybe I can cross-reference the trial protocols with public FDA guidelines. We'll figure out who's behind this. Olivia nodded, grateful for Mia's fire, but the weight of it all pressed harder. Exposing the truth could tank her career, or worse. But letting it slide, that wasn't an option. Not when her dad's hope was on the line. The next day, as Olivia was leaving the lab, a familiar voice stopped her cold. Liv? Oh my God, it's you. She turned to see Ryan Cole, her ex-boyfriend, standing in the PharmaVita lobby, his lanky frame and tousled hair unchanged from their college days. Ryan was a biology professor now, his easy grin hiding the heartbreak they'd left behind 2 years ago. Ryan? Olivia's voice caught, surprise mixing with unease. What are you doing here? He rubbed the back of his neck, sheepish. Consulting gig. Just dropping off some research for a colleague, but wow, you look great. Can we grab a coffee? Catch up? Her first instinct was to say no. Ryan had broken her trust back then, his wandering eye leaving scars. But his timing felt too convenient, right when she was digging into PharmaVita's secrets. Maybe, she said cautiously. I'm swamped with work right now. Fair enough, Ryan said, his smile faltering. But Liv, I've missed you. I messed up back then. Let me make it up to you. She nodded, non-committal, and hurried out, her mind racing. Ryan's reappearance wasn't random, she could feel it. That night, she met Mia at the loft, the rain hammering the windows as they dug into the data again. But before they could get far, Olivia's phone buzzed with another text from Ryan. Can we talk? I know something about the trials. Her heart skipped. Was he trying to help, or was this a trap? Liv, you're not seriously meeting him, are you? Mia asked, her voice sharp as she saw the text. This guy broke your heart. And now he's sniffing around right when you're onto something? Bad vibes. I know, Olivia said, her fingers hovering over her phone. But what if he really knows something? I can't ignore it. Mia sighed, crossing her arms. Fine, but be careful. And speaking of bad vibes, my boyfriend's been acting weird too. Keeps asking about you, like he's fishing. I don't like it. Olivia's stomach twisted. Mia's boyfriend, Jake, was a tech consultant who'd been around PharmaVita's orbit. Was he connected to this? Mia, you don't think... I don't know, Mia said, her voice tight. But I'm watching him. You focus on Ryan, and that coffee with Ben. Maybe he's your way in. The coffee with Ben was the next morning, at a sleek downtown cafe with floor-to-ceiling windows. Olivia arrived early, her nerves jangling. Ben was already there, his suit jacket slung over a chair, his dark hair catching the light. Olivia, he said, standing with that easy grin. Glad you made it. No papers to spill this time? She laughed, her tension easing. Not yet. I'm saving my chaos for later. They talked. First about Vitalupron, then about Portland's quirks. The conversation flowing like the Willamette River outside. Ben's passion for the drug matched hers, but there was a shadow in his eyes, a hint of something unspoken. You're driven, Olivia, he said, leaning forward. I saw it in your trial notes. Why is this so personal for you? She hesitated, then told him about her dad, the lupus, the hope she carried. Ben's gaze softened. I get it, he said quietly. I lost someone to illness too. That's why I'm here, fighting for this drug. The moment felt real, electric, but that text haunted her. Could she trust Ben? As they parted, he touched her arm lightly. Let's do this again. I want to hear more of your ideas. Her heart fluttered, but so did her doubts. Later, Olivia met Ryan at a park, the rain holding off for once. He looked nervous, his hands stuffed in his pockets. "Liv, I heard you're digging into the Vita trials. I saw something. Lauren asked me to pull some data for her, off the books. I didn't know what it was at first, but it's not right." Olivia's blood ran cold. "Lauren, Ryan, what did you do?" He looked away, guilt in his eyes. "I passed her some files. I didn't know they were tampered. I swear, Liv, I'm trying to fix it." Betrayal stung, sharp and familiar. Ryan had sold her out, again. But his confession was a lead, one she couldn't ignore. As she walked away, the rain started again, mirroring the storm inside her. Lauren was in deeper than she'd thought, and someone, maybe Derek, maybe someone bigger, was pulling the strings. What had Ryan given them? And how close was Olivia to blowing this conspiracy wide open? Portland's fog had a way of blurring the lines between truth and lies, wrapping everything in a haze that made secrets feel closer than ever. For Olivia, that haze was suffocating. She'd crashed into Ben, the CEO of Pharma Labs, sparking a connection she couldn't quite define. But the thrill of his coffee invite was overshadowed by a chilling reality. Tampered trial data, a cryptic warning text, and now Ryan's betrayal, admitting he'd fed Lauren's shady files. The lupus drug, Vita, was supposed to be a beacon of hope, but someone was twisting it into a lie, and Olivia was caught in the crosshairs. Every step deeper into the mystery felt like a step closer to danger. What did Ryan's confession mean for her investigation? Was Ben a safe haven or part of the conspiracy? And when a ghost from her family's past resurfaces, tying her dad to Pharma dark history, will it pull Olivia closer to the truth or push her into a trap? The web is tightening, and the past is about to catch up. Stick around to see who's left standing. Olivia's world was unraveling, thread by thread. By day, she played the diligent research assistant at Pharma, her lab coat crisp, her smile practiced. But her nights were spent with Mia, dissecting data that pointed to a cover-up. The Vita trials were rigged, efficacy rates inflated, side effects buried, and the anonymous text warning her to stop digging still burned in her mind. Ryan's confession had only deepened her unease. He'd handed Lauren trial files, claiming he didn't know they were tampered. But his track record of broken trust made Olivia wary. And then there was Ben. His warm smile, his invitation to talk again, the way her heart skipped when he said her name. Was he an ally, or was his charm a distraction? That Sunday, Olivia drove to her parents' modest home in Portland's suburbs, the rain a steady drumbeat on her windshield. She needed clarity, a break from the lab's sterile tension. Her dad, Robert, was in the living room, his hands trembling slightly as he flipped through a newspaper. Eleanor, her mom, was in the kitchen, the smell of fresh-baked bread wafting through the house. "Liv, you're early," Eleanor called, wiping flour from her hands as she hugged her daughter. "You look stressed. Everything okay at work?" Olivia forced a smile, sinking into the couch beside Robert. "Just a lot going on. The Apex partnerships got everyone on edge." Robert set the paper down, his eyes sharp despite the fatigue lining his face. "Pharma making waves, huh? That lupus drug. It could have helped me years ago." His voice softened, tinged with hope that broke Olivia's heart. She nodded, her throat tight. "That's why I'm pushing so hard, Dad, but something's off. The trial data, it's not right. I'm trying to figure it out, but it's risky." Eleanor joined them, her nurse's instincts kicking in. "Risky how? You're not doing anything dangerous, are you?" Olivia hesitated, then spilled a sanitized version. The discrepancies, Derek's evasiveness, Lauren's hovering. She left out the text and Ryan's betrayal, not wanting to worry them. But Robert's expression shifted, a flicker of something, guilt, crossing his face. "Liv," he said, his voice low, "there's something you should know. Back in the 90s, I worked with a guy named Tom Grayson. He was a partner at Pharma before Ben took over. We were friends for a while, but Tom got mixed up in some bad stuff. Lawsuits, shady deals. I cut ties when I saw where it was going." Olivia's heart skipped. "Tom Grayson? Dad, why didn't you tell me this before?" Robert sighed, rubbing his hands together. "Didn't think it mattered, but that lawsuit, it almost sank Pharma. Tom was pushed out, and I heard he blamed Ben's family. If you're digging into the company, be careful. The past has a way of coming back." The revelation hit like a punch. Pharma financial crisis, the one Ben hinted at during their coffee, was tied to a lawsuit, and her dad knew the man at the center of it. Was this why someone was watching her? Did it connect to the tampered data? Monday morning, Olivia arrived at the lab with her nerves on edge. She was about to log into her station when Nathan appeared. his dark suit a stark contrast to the lab's white walls. "Olivia," he said, his voice low, "we need to talk. Somewhere private." Her stomach twisted, but she followed him to a quiet corner of the break room, the hum of the coffee machine masking their words. Nathan's piercing gaze locked onto hers. "I know you're looking into the Vita Lupron trials. I'm not your enemy. I'm an auditor, hired by Ben's family to investigate leaks. I've been watching Derek and Lauren, but you're stirring things up." Olivia's breath caught. "An auditor? Why didn't you say anything before?" "Because I needed to know who I could trust," Nathan said. "You're clean, but you're in deep. The data tampering, it's not just about Vita Lupron. It's tied to the old lawsuit, the one that nearly bankrupted Pharma Vita. Ben's divorce? That was no accident either. His ex-wife was blackmailed, pushed out to cover up fraud from years ago." Her mind reeled. Ben's divorce, the lawsuit, her dad's connection to Tom Grayson. It was all linked. "So what do I do?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. "Keep digging," Nathan said, "but watch your back. Someone's already onto you." Before she could press him, an email pinged on her phone. It was from Derek, summoning her to his office. Her heart sank as she walked in, finding Derek and Lauren waiting, their faces unreadable. "Olivia," Derek said, his tone clipped, "we've got a problem. One of the Vita Lupron trials has a discrepancy, and your name's on the report. Care to explain?" Her blood ran cold. The report in question. She hadn't touched it. "That's impossible," she said, her voice steady despite the panic rising. "I double-checked every entry I made." Lauren leaned forward, her smile sharp. "Mistakes happen, Olivia. But this is serious. The Apex team's asking questions. If this goes higher, it's on you." Olivia's mind raced. This wasn't a mistake, it was a setup. Someone had pinned the tampered data on her, and Lauren's smug look said she knew more than she was letting on. "I'll look into it," Olivia said, forcing calm. "I'll find the error." Back at her station, she texted Mia. "I'm in trouble. They're blaming me for bad data. Meet me tonight." Her hands shook as she typed. Had Ryan set her up, passing her name to Lauren? Or was Derek orchestrating this to cover his tracks? That evening, at a quiet park near Alberta, Mia met her, her face pale. "Liv, this is bad. They're framing you? We need to find those original files before they bury you." "I know," Olivia said, her voice trembling. "But there's more. My dad knew a guy tied to Pharmavita's old lawsuit, and Nathan, he's an auditor, says it's all connected. Ben's divorce, the data, everything." Mia's eyes widened. "Ben, you think he's part of this?" "I don't know," Olivia admitted, her heart twisting. Their coffee had felt real, his touch lingering in her mind, but Nathan's words echoed. Things aren't always what they seem. Could she trust Ben, or was he playing a deeper game? As they parted, Olivia's phone buzzed again. Another anonymous text. "You're getting close. Stop now, or you'll lose more than your job." Her breath hitched. Someone was desperate to keep their secrets buried, and Olivia was running out of time. What did her dad's past have to do with this? And who was one step ahead, ready to destroy her? Portland's rain had turned relentless, pounding the city like it was trying to wash away its secrets. For Olivia, those secrets were closing in, each one a weight on her chest. She'd been framed for tampering with Vita Lupron's trial data, a lupus drug that meant everything to her and her dad. A cryptic text warned her to stop digging. Ryan's betrayal cut deeper than she'd expected. And Nathan's revelation about Ben's divorce tied to an old Pharma Vita scandal had her questioning everyone. Even Ben, whose warm smile and lingering touch haunted her thoughts, might be part of the conspiracy. Now, with her career on the line and her dad's past linked to the company's dark history, Olivia's at a breaking point. Who's behind the tampered data? Can she trust Mia when her friend's own loyalties are tested? And what does Ben's past have to do with the lies threatening to destroy everything? The truth is closer than ever, but so is the danger. Stick around to see who breaks first. Olivia's days at Pharma Vita Labs had become a high-wire act. She moved through the lab like a ghost, her lab coat a shield as she dodged Derek's probing glances and Lauren's smug smiles. The false accusation that she'd botched a Vita Lupron trial report hung over her like a storm cloud. She knew it was a setup, but proving it meant diving deeper into the data she'd been locked out of. Every night, she and Mia pored over what little they could access, piecing together a puzzle that screamed fraud. The stakes were personal. Her dad, Robert, was counting on drugs like Vita Lupron, and the thought of patients being misled made her stomach churn. That Monday, Olivia slipped into the lab early, the Portland fog still clinging to her coat. She'd found a workaround to the restricted servers, pulling up raw data from an old backup. What she saw stopped her cold. Derek's digital fingerprints were all over the tampered files. He'd altered efficacy rates, erased side effects, and buried reports that could have flagged Vitalupron as unsafe. The proof was right there, in lines of code and metadata, undeniable. "Got you," Olivia whispered, her heart racing as she saved the files to a secure drive. But the victory was short-lived. How could she expose Derek without sinking herself? And who else was involved? Lauren. Someone higher up? Her phone buzzed, pulling her out of her thoughts. A text from Mia. "Meet me at the cafe. Urgent." Olivia's gut twisted. Mia had been edgy since mentioning Jake, her boyfriend, acting strange. Was he tied to this too? At the cozy Alberta cafe, the rain drumming against the windows, Olivia found Mia in a corner booth, her face pale, her usual spark dimmed. "Liv, we need to talk," Mia said, her voice low as she slid a latte across the table. "It's Jake. He's been asking about you, your work, the trials. I thought he was just curious, but I saw him texting Lauren last night." Olivia's heart sank. "Lauren? Mia, what the hell? You think he's spying on me?" Mia's eyes glistened, her voice cracking. "I don't know, okay? I confronted him, and he got defensive, said it was just work stuff. But it doesn't add up. I feel like I'm betraying you by even being with him." Olivia reached across the table, squeezing Mia's hand. "You're not betraying me, but we need to be careful. Jake's tied to Lauren, and she's neck-deep in this. I found proof. Derek's been fudging the Vitalupron data." "It's him, Mia." Mia's jaw dropped. "Derek? Like our Derek? That sleaze is risking lives for what? A promotion? Or worse," Olivia said, her voice grim. "Money, power, who knows? But someone's covering for him, and I'm the one they're pinning it on." Mia leaned forward, her fire returning. "Then we fight back. You've got the proof. Use it. What about Ben? He's the CEO. If he's as decent as he seems, he'll listen." Olivia's thoughts flashed to Ben, his green eyes the way he'd listened at the cafe, his hand brushing hers. But Nathan's warning echoed. Ben's divorce was tied to blackmail, to the same lawsuit her dad had mentioned. Could she trust him? "I don't know, Mia. Ben's complicated. I want to believe he's on my side, but what if he's not?" Before Mia could reply, Olivia's phone buzzed again. "Ryan, meet me at the park." "I'm sorry, Liv, I can help." Her stomach twisted. Ryan's confession about passing files to Lauren still stung. But his offer was a lifeline she couldn't ignore. Against her better judgment, Olivia met Ryan at a quiet park near the Willamette River, the rain holding off for once. He looked wrecked, his usual cocky grin gone. "Liv, I messed up," he said, his voice raw. "Lauren played me. She said it was routine data for a side project. I didn't know it was tampered. Let me make this right. I can get you more files." Olivia crossed her arms, her trust in him paper thin. "Why should I believe you, Ryan? You sold me out once already." "I know," he said, his eyes pleading. "But I care about you. Always have. Let me help. Please." She wanted to walk away, but his access to Lauren's files could be the key to exposing Derek. "Fine," she said coldly. "Get me the files. But if you screw me over again, we're done for good." Back at the loft, Olivia paced, her mind a tangle of doubts. Mia was waiting, her laptop open, but the air between them felt strained. "Liv, I'm sorry about Jake," Mia said, her voice small. "I should have seen it sooner. I'll talk to him, figure out what he knows." "Don't confront him yet," Olivia said, her tone sharp. "If he's with Lauren, he could tip her off. We need to stay one step ahead." Mia nodded, but the hurt in her eyes was clear. Olivia hated putting her friend in this position. But the conspiracy was bigger than their friendship. She had to focus. Derek, Lauren, maybe even Jake were playing a dangerous game, and she was running out of time. The next day, Olivia was called into a meeting with Ben. Her heart raced as she stepped into his office, the city skyline framed by floor-to-ceiling windows. Ben stood, his suit jacket off, his sleeves rolled up like he'd been working late. "Olivia," he said, his voice warm but serious. "I heard about the trial discrepancy. Your name's on it. Tell me what's going on." She froze, the accusation stinging anew. "It's not me, Ben, I swear. I found proof. Derek's been altering the Vitalupron data. I think he's covering something up, maybe tied to the old lawsuit." Ben's eyes darkened, a flicker of something. Anger? Fear crossing his face? "The lawsuit? How do you know about that?" "My dad," she admitted, her voice steady despite her nerves. "He knew Tom Grayson, your old partner. He said the lawsuit nearly sank Pharma Vida. And Nathan told me your divorce was connected. Blackmail, fraud. Is it true?" Ben ran a hand through his hair, his calm cracking. "It's true. My ex-wife, Claire, was pressured to leave to protect the company. Someone, maybe Derek, used her to hide fraud from years ago. I've been trying to rebuild ever since." Olivia's heart ached for him, but doubt lingered. Was he telling the whole truth? Before she could press, her phone buzzed with a new text from Ryan. Got the files. Meet me tonight. Her pulse spiked. The truth was within reach, but so was the danger. Who else was watching, ready to pull the rug out from under her? Portland's rain had a way of amplifying everything. Every doubt, every fear, every heartbeat. For Olivia, the city's relentless drizzle mirrored the storm inside her. She'd uncovered proof that Derek was tampering with Vidalupron's trial data, risking lives for a quick payday. Ryan's betrayal had cut deep, his half-hearted redemption offering files that could expose Lauren's role in the conspiracy. Nathan's revelation that Ben's divorce was tied to blackmail and an old Pharma lawsuit had shaken her trust, and her dad's connection to the company's past only tightened the knot of secrets. Now, framed for the very fraud she was fighting, Olivia stood at a crossroads. The Apex Partnership presentation was hours away, a make-or-break moment for Pharma. Could she expose Derek and Lauren without losing everything? Would Ben stand by her, or was he part of the lie? And what final secret would tip the scales in this high-stakes showdown? The truth is about to come out, but at what cost? Stick around. The storm's about to break. The morning of the Apex presentation dawned gray and heavy, the Portland skyline shrouded in mist. Olivia arrived at Pharma Labs with her heart in her throat, a USB drive in her pocket loaded with the damning files Ryan had slipped her last night. She'd barely slept, her mind replaying his guilty eyes, Nathan's cryptic warnings, and Ben's quiet confession about his ex-wife, Claire. The files confirmed it all. Derek had altered Vidalupron's data, inflating efficacy and hiding side effects that could harm patients. Lauren was his accomplice, funneling the tampered data to a rival company for a cut of the profits. But the final piece, the one that made Olivia's blood run cold, was a trail leading back to the lawsuit her dad had mentioned. Derek had been involved back then, using Claire to cover up fraud, blackmailing her to force her out of Ben's life. Olivia's phone buzzed as she stepped into the lab's lobby. A text from Mia. "You got this, Liv. I'm with you." Jake's out of the picture. Caught him lying about Lauren. Olivia's heart ached for her friend. Mia had confronted Jake, and he'd admitted to passing info to Lauren, claiming it was just business. The betrayal stung them both. But Mia's loyalty was unwavering. "Thanks," Olivia texted back, her fingers trembling. "Stay close. This is gonna get ugly." Inside, the conference room was packed. Pharmavita's team, Apex execs in sharp suits, and Ben at the head of the table, his green eyes scanning the room. Olivia took her seat, her USB drive burning a hole in her pocket. Derek stood at the front, his polished grin in full force as he launched into the Vidalupron pitch, slides flashing with perfect numbers that Olivia knew were lies. "We're on the cusp of a breakthrough," Derek said, his voice smooth. "Vidalupron's trials show unprecedented efficacy, and with Apex's backing, we'll save countless lives." Olivia's stomach churned. She glanced at Ben, his expression unreadable, then at Lauren, who sat smugly, her eyes flicking to Olivia like a predator sizing up prey. Nathan was there too, his gaze steady, a silent nod urging her to act. As Derek wrapped up, Ben stood. "Thank you, Derek. Before we move forward, I'd like to hear from our research team. Olivia, you've been working on the trials. Any insights?" Her heart pounded. This was it. She stood, her voice steady despite the nerves. "Actually, I do. There's something you all need to know about Vidalupron's data." The room went silent, all eyes on her. Derek's smile faltered, and Lauren's posture stiffened. Olivia plugged her USB into the projector, pulling up the raw files. "These are the original trial results. They show significant side effects, ones that were erased to make Vidalupron look flawless. Efficacy rates were inflated, putting patients at risk." Gasps rippled through the room. An Apex exec leaned forward, his brow furrowed. "Are you saying the data was manipulated?" "Yes," Olivia said, her eyes locking on Derek. "And I have proof. Metadata shows Derek Voss altered the files, with help from Lauren Pierce. They've been leaking data to a competitor, sabotaging Pharma for personal gain." Derek laughed, a sharp, nervous sound. "This is absurd. Olivia's just covering for her own mistakes. Her name's on a faulty report, remember?" Lauren chimed in, her voice dripping with disdain. "She's out of her depth, Ben. Probably panicked under pressure." Olivia's hands clenched, but before she could respond, Nathan stood, his voice cutting through the tension. "I'm Dr. Nathan Hale, an independent auditor hired by the Ward family. Olivia's findings align with my investigation. Derek and Lauren have been falsifying data for months, and it's not their first time. Derek was involved in a fraud cover-up years ago, tied to the lawsuit that nearly bankrupted Pharmavita." The room erupted in murmurs. Ben's face darkened, his eyes narrowing at Derek. "Is this true?" he demanded. Derek's composure cracked, his voice rising. This is a witch hunt. You've got no proof. Olivia clicked to the next slide, showing timestamps and digital signatures linking Derek to the changes. It's all here, and there's more. The lawsuit from the 90s? Derek used blackmail to silence Claire Ward, Ben's ex-wife, to cover his tracks. That's why she left. Ben's jaw tightened, a flicker of pain crossing his face. Claire? He said, his voice low, almost breaking. You did this, Derek? Derek stammered, his face paling. Ben, she was going to ruin us. I was protecting the company. Protecting yourself, Ben snapped, his voice like steel. He turned to Olivia, his eyes softening. You risked everything to bring this to light. Thank you. Olivia's heart raced, a mix of relief and fear. The Apex execs were whispering, their faces grim. Lauren tried to speak, but Ben cut her off. Enough. You're both suspended, pending a full investigation. Nathan, coordinate with legal. This ends now. As security escorted Derek and Lauren out, the room buzzed with shock. Olivia sank into her chair, her hands trembling. Ben approached, his voice quiet. Olivia, I had no idea. I'm sorry you got caught in this. You didn't deserve to be framed. She met his gaze, her doubts about him fading. I just wanted the truth, Ben. For the patients. For my dad. He nodded, a flicker of admiration in his eyes. You're incredible. We'll fix this. Together. Later, at the Alberta Cafe, Olivia met Mia. The rain outside a soft curtain. You did it, Liv, Mia said, hugging her tight. You took them down. Barely, Olivia said, her voice shaky. If Nathan hadn't backed me up... Mia's face clouded. I'm still reeling about Jake. He swore he didn't know Lauren's full plan, but I'm done. I should have listened to you sooner. Olivia squeezed her hand. We're okay, Mia. We got through this. But as they talked, Ryan texted again. I'm sorry, Liv. I told you everything I know. Can we talk? Olivia sighed, her trust in him still fractured. The conspiracy was unraveling, but questions lingered. Was Derek acting alone, or was there a bigger player? And as Ben's words echoed, we'll fix this together, Olivia felt a spark of hope. And something more. What would happen when they met again, with the truth laid bare? Portland's rain had finally softened, giving way to a golden dusk that painted the city in hues of hope. For Olivia, the storm was over, but its echoes lingered. She'd exposed Derek and Lauren's conspiracy at Pharma Vita Labs, saving the lupus drug Vitalupron from a dangerous lie. The truth had come at a cost. Ryan's betrayal, Mia's heartbreak over Jake, and the chilling realization that her dad's past was tied to the company's dark history. But through it all, Ben's support had been a lifeline, his belief in her cutting through the chaos. Now, with the Apex partnership secured and the conspirators facing justice, Olivia stood at a crossroads. Could she trust the spark between her and Ben, or was it too good to be true? Would the shadows of Pharma Vita's past stay buried? And when a single moment changes everything, what does the future hold? The answers are here, wrapped in the glow of a Portland sunset. Stick around for a finale that'll leave you breathless. The days after the confrontation felt like a dream. Pharma Vita Labs buzzed with a new energy, the air lighter now that Derek and Lauren were gone. An internal investigation, led by Nathan, had confirmed their fraud, and Apex had greenlit the partnership, with strict oversight to ensure Vitalupron's trials were clean. Olivia walked into the lab each morning with a sense of purpose, her role as a research assistant evolving into something bigger. Ben had insisted she take a lead on cleaning up the trial data, a nod to her courage. Olivia, you're wasted on pipetting, Ben had said one morning in his office, his green eyes bright with admiration. I want you as a senior analyst. You've earned it. She'd blinked, stunned. Ben, Thank you. I didn't expect this. He leaned forward, his voice warm. You didn't just save the drug, you saved us. I mean it. Her heart fluttered, but doubts lingered. Their coffee talks had grown frequent, each one charged with a connection she couldn't ignore. But Nathan's words about Ben's divorce, blackmail, fraud, Claire's exit still nagged at her. Was Ben truly free of the past? That evening, Olivia drove to her parents' home in the suburbs, the city lights fading into quiet streets. Robert was in the backyard, tending his garden despite the ache in his joints. Eleanor was beside him, her laughter soft as she handed him a trowel. Liv, Robert called, his face lighting up. Heard you're the hero of Pharma Vita now. Olivia smiled, hugging him tightly. Not a hero, Dad, just doing what's right. They're fixing Vitalupron's trials. It's gonna help people like you. Eleanor's eyes glistened. We're so proud, sweetheart, but you look exhausted. You sure you're okay? Olivia nodded, but her thoughts drifted to Ben, to Ryan's texts begging for forgiveness, to Mia's strained voice. I'm okay, Mom, just a lot to process. Robert's expression turned serious. That lawsuit I told you about, Tom Grayson's mess, it's done, right? No one's coming after you? No one's coming after me, Olivia said, hoping it was true. The anonymous texts had stopped, but the memory of them lingered like a shadow. Back at the Alberta loft, Mia was waiting, a pizza box open on the coffee table. Her curly hair was loose, her eyes tired but warm. "Liv, you're officially a badass," she said, tossing her a slice. "Taking down Derek and Lauren?" "Epic," Olivia laughed, sinking onto the couch. "Epic but exhausting. How about you? Jake's really out of the picture?" Mia's smile faltered. "Yeah. He swore he didn't know the full extent of Lauren's plan. But I can't trust him. I'm done. But you and me? We're solid." Olivia squeezed her hand. "Always. Thanks for having my back, Mia." Their friendship was a lifeline, but Ryan was another story. His latest text sat unanswered. "I'm leaving Portland." "I'm sorry, Liv. I hope you'll forgive me someday." She sighed, deleting it. Some bridges stayed burned. The next evening, Ben texted her. "Meet me at the Botanical Garden, 6 p.m. Got something to show you." Her heart skipped, a mix of nerves and anticipation. The Portland Botanical Garden was a gem, tucked away with views of Mount Hood, its paths lined with blooming roses and evergreens. Olivia arrived in a simple sweater and jeans, the air crisp with the scent of pine. Ben was waiting near a gazebo, the sunset casting a warm glow over his dark hair. He wore a casual jacket, his usual CEO polish softened. "Olivia," he said, his voice low, "you look perfect." She blushed, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. "You said you had something to show me?" He grinned, leading her down a path to a quiet overlook, the city sprawling below. "I wanted to thank you, not just for Vita Lupron, but for reminding me why I do this." "You're fearless." Her cheeks warmed. "I was terrified, Ben, but I couldn't let it go. Not when it's about people like my dad." He nodded, his eyes searching hers. "I get it. After Claire, I thought I'd lost that fire. The lawsuit, the blackmail, it broke me. But you brought it back." Olivia's heart raced. "Nathan told me about Claire." "I'm sorry, Ben." He shook his head. "It's the past, but you're my future, if you'll have me." Before she could process his words, he dropped to one knee, pulling a small box from his pocket. A simple ring glinted in the fading light. "Olivia Hayes, you crashed into my life, literally, and I've been falling for you ever since. Will you marry me?" Her breath caught, the world narrowing to his green eyes, the sincerity in his voice. The collision, the fear, the conspiracy, it all led here. "Yes," she whispered, tears blurring her vision. "Yes, Ben." He slipped the ring on her finger, pulling her into a kiss that felt like coming home. The city sparkled below, a promise of new beginnings. Back at Pharma Vita, Olivia stepped into her new role as senior analyst, leading the Vita Lupron trials with a renewed focus on ethics. Derek and Lauren faced legal consequences, their careers in ruins. Nathan stayed on, ensuring the company's transparency. Ryan left Portland, his apologies unanswered. Mia, free of Jake, threw herself into her work, her friendship with Olivia stronger than ever. At her parents' home, Olivia shared the news of her engagement. Robert's eyes lit up, his hands steady as he hugged her. "You found a good one, Liv, and that drug, it's gonna make a difference." Eleanor smiled, tears in her eyes. "You deserve this, sweetheart. All of it." As Olivia drove back to Alberta, the rain returned, soft and cleansing. Pharma Vita was on a new path, and so was she. But a faint unease lingered. Nathan had hinted at loose ends, competitors still circling. Would the past stay buried, or was another storm brewing? For now, she held tight to Ben's ring, to hope, to a future she'd fought for.